Today we have a very exciting guest. And for her, I'll start off with a quote. I'll always be a fashion designer, but now my expression is in cake design. A pop quiz, who is that? Well, because I really didn't know, but I certainly know now. She's a graduate of Williams College and Parsons School of Design. She was assistant director to Perry Ellis and design director to Adrienne Vittadini. And here's a little timeline. In 1996, she was the fashion director of New York and Company. She really helped open that, and we see it all over the world in malls everywhere. 2005, she majored in cake design and techniques to start her own company. Well, pop quiz is over. Who is it? It's Charlotte Neuville. Charlotte was an incredible, still is, fashion designer. For many years, she was in Martha's, Barney's New York. She was in Neiman Marcus, Saks Fifth Avenue, and so many other stores around the country and internationally. And we are honored and privileged to have Charlotte with us today. Today, it's a deep dive into Charlotte's career, how she got started, and most importantly, we could call this a food to fashion, but let's really call it from fashion to food. So Charlotte, welcome to the show. It's so excited to have you on.
Thank you so much, Andrew.
And I just wanted to start with you as a successful, not only New York, but international designer who created such great looks, fun, flirty looks in women's wear, being with mom or the family and whatever, maybe that was a passion. And so what really, how did that inspiration break out? Was it sort of the young Charlotte saying, hey, I got to do this? Or when you maybe just had enough of designing or saying, I kind of want to do both? How does that happen? Because I know maybe a lot of viewers have that passion or that sideline or being an entrepreneur saying, I love my job, I love work, but, I'd like to kind of maybe do my passion, what I've already really love or would love to do. What do you say to them?
Honestly, I certainly have never thought that I was tired of design or finished with fashion design. I was actually terrified not to do fashion design. And I took a break after leaving as executive vice president of design at the Gap. I took a break, which was the first break, honestly, I've ever taken in my entire career. I've always loved to work. And just took stock of my life. I got to spend the last year of my mother's life with her, which I had no idea was going to be here last year. And it was unforgettable. And I'm thrilled that I could have done that. And then honestly, it was my friends, my circle, my community that kept saying, Charlotte, why don't you just like do your hobby? And I'm going, you are crazy. I mean, I've spent my whole life as a fashion designer, living and breathing fashion. Even as a little girl, I was very involved in fashion, and I couldn't imagine. I thought it meant that I'd have to leave fashion, and in fact, here we are 12 years later. Charlotte Neuville Cakes and Confections is, thriving. And I am more involved than ever with the CFDA, the Council of Fashion Designers of America. I'm still a member. I very much believe in it. And honestly, had the council been as powerful as it is today, due to all of the designers' support, I think I would still be probably in fashion. But at the time, I felt very alone. I didn't know who to talk to, I just needed a break. I had been working with my own company, and for, as you mentioned, the Limited for New York and Company and the Gap. I'd been working for so long that I just needed to kind of recalibrate. And, honestly, after going to the ICC, the International Culinary Center, I I just grabbed it. And I'm very, very fortunate that many people in fashion immediately supported me. Um, my dear friend Jeffrey Banks, who's a menswear designer and an author, was my first order. I had wedding cakes while I was interning for Ron Ben Israel. It all flooded in, and I did a cake for Albert Elbaz when he was at L'Unveil in the first year. So it really, there were so many touchstones with fashion. There's no way I've left it. If anything, my feet feel very firmly planted in it. And I often, I do, private um, orders for clients just under the radar.
I mean, for clothes or
Yeah.
oh, great. So
Yeah.
I can see it, the clothes, it's one-stop shopping. I'm getting married instead of going to Kleinfeld's, I'm going to Charlotte's. I
Well,
have
we
my
don't do, I have designed wedding dresses, but actually Mara Urschel, who's the CEO of Kleinfeld's, is one of our happy customers, and we love working with her. I've known her since she was at Saks Fifth Avenue.
well, I have a great idea. Let's call up Randy instead of saying say yes to the dress. Let's say yes to the dress and yes to the cake.
I've been saying that to Mara for years. Why don't we do that?
Say yes to the cake. Do you want
Exactly.
this cake or do you want red velvet? Do you want coconut? Whatever.
Exactly.
Say yeah. That would be an incredible show. I think we have to, and our audience has to get behind that
From
and
your
get. I
mouth
mean,
to
that would
God's
be
ears. I'd
incredible
love to do it.
because I
Um,
know they do have those confectionate shows on TV for the baking and the bake-offs and
I'm
whatever.
asked to be on those every month,
Yeah,
and I really have no interest in
yeah, or
competing.
nor the time
Although
probably.
I do love mentoring and judging, and still do a lot of that with designers.
And I'm sure your family has been so supportive all these years and getting behind you and maybe interest from family members working with you or doing what you do.
No,
No?
no, no. I think my daughter really is forging her own path, which I totally applaud, and I never expected her to. I have honestly a second family at work. Very, very close to my designers and artists. My attitude about forming this company after having had my own fashion company, is to emulate what you believe in and know that you're going to be with your second family and have the support of these other individuals is just, it's so invaluable.
I think that's just incredible. You have an incredible experience. You went to Parsons, you studied fashion, you graduated, and you were with such famous peers in your class before and after who are all famous designers. What are some of the inspirations, even design techniques? I know we talk about draping and working with fabric and textures and silhouettes and so forth. Did some of those wonderful techniques that you learned in fashion school, didn't some of those transform into making cakes and
Absolutely.
confections?
I
And
mean,
how did you apply them?
our byline to our company is extraordinary cakes for stylish clients. And
Mm,
that really has held true for the 12 years that we've been in business. Honestly, it's less about what I learned in at Parsons and more about how I live my life, how I've always lived my life. And that's, I came from a family. My father was at iMagnins in San Francisco, so I grew up around style, around fashion, around the best of the best. And I mean, I didn't know any better. I thought this is just the way the world was. And I just marveled walking into that store at the luxury and the attention to detail and the attention to design, that it's not a surprise to me that I went into design and fashion as my métier. So honestly, to answer your question, it's very much rooted in my life and how I was brought up and what I was involved but it's also beauty as an expression of my art. And that sounds like a mouthful, but what I'm saying, that often happens with fashion details. It can happen with beautiful sugar flowers. It can happen with color. It can happen with different textures. Those were all words you and I used when I was in fashion. It's not any different now in cakes. One of the elements of cake design that I really, really prefer to fashion design is that in fashion, I was designing a year out. I wouldn't get to see most customers, thrilled with their coat or the item that they had bought from my collection. But in cake design, you often get to see the visual, you get to see the face of the bride, you get to see the face of the person who's having a birthday, just elated and full of joy at what you have created. There is nothing better than that. Or like a little 5-year-old, just like with this look of wonder. And I, once in a while, mothers send me photographs and I post them on my Instagram because it's just so precious. And it really means everything to, not just to me, but also to my designers.
And one thing I came to mind, and you might have heard this, but it's so big today is sustainability. Just think about it. You are one of the few designers in the world. I mean, you're a fashion designer, but total sustainability. It's a zero waste for the world
We try.
because you made it, you're eating it, and guess what? It's not going to go in a landfill or into the ocean. It goes into our stomach. It generates it. It vitalizes us. We enjoy it. It's the smell. It's the taste. So you have really achieved what no other designers can. Total sustainability. Go Charlotte. I mean, that is so exciting when you think about it. That
I'm not so sure it's so great that we eat the leftovers at
yeah.
work too.
Exactly, and maybe
We
not.
promote
Yeah,
sustainability
maybe not
100%.
sometimes the sugar and everything, but the idea is, wow, everybody's looking, how do we get to 2030 with zero waste? And here, let's just talk to Charlotte Neuville because I think she has the answer for us. I think that's so exciting. Also, Charlotte, tell us, I'm sure a lot of us have animals. So do you do some of those dog birthday parties or cat birthday parties where, for Fido or for Rover or for Vanessa, the dog, that, they can have a party
Actually,
and have.
it's something that I really want to do. We do many, many cakes that feature pets,
Mhm.
either as the entire cake or more often than not, a sugar likeness of their dog or cat or whatever animal that they have. It's because the sugar likeness actually dries like ceramic and they can keep it
Mm.
forever. Not in the refrigerator, just on their bookshelf, and they can have this gift after. It's kind of the cake that keeps on giving. But I have one of the divisions of my company is Charlotte Neuville's Sweet Pets, and that is a nod to how much we love to acknowledge the animals in our life. Certainly, I've always had animals, and my clients, by and large, many of them have pets and have done requested incredible cakes that had their pet featured.
I think that's going to
So
be
much fun.
exciting. And
It's really fun.
another thing came to
That is
mind.
really difficult to cut in, though.
Okay.
Really hard to cut into, like this cute little paw.
Oh, that'd be so cute.
We just
And
did an engagement cake with a dog, and the dog, the puppy, had the engagement ring on his paw, and that was the way the fiance surprised his fiance. It was really, really sweet.
it's so cute. And I was thinking too, when you talked about shaped like, could be a bone, shaped like a bone or anything like that. And another idea came to mind, and maybe an inspiration for you, but one of my, from Martha's, as you know, and you were one of our great designers and again, when you were talking about family business with your father, as you know, with my mother and grandmother, Martha and Lynn, we certainly come from the same kind of
We do.
cloth that we lived and did it. I went into education, and obviously you went into doing what you love now with confections. But one person I really loved who only passed away a few years ago was Judith Lieber. And I'm
Mhm.
thinking of how you might have used what Judith did with bags, making a dog or a cat bag all embedded in jewels and some
It's
of her
just a different
stone.
medium.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just kind of doing that with, again, a dog bone for a dog, or for a children's party, a big party that you might do, and something for them. So that certainly came to mind, where those inspiration with some of the designers like Judith Lieber, or even something from Karl Lagerfeld or Valentino that, could have been so incredible. Even some of the sort of the bows that we see for AIDS, or you did red, that could be very important for an
Well,
organization
those
that
are
you might do.
all of those. We've either actually done all of those categories that you just mentioned, or certainly are available to do it. One of the my favorite times of the year is when Anna Wintour heads up the Costume Institute's presentation at the Met Gala, and we often do the cakes to celebrate the occasion. And we did an array of cakes for celebrating Karl Lagerfeld this year. And it's an incredible experience, because it's a deep dive into someone's life or a topic that the Met is covering that year. And of course, the collaboration with Anna is, she's an incredible individual and human being, and it's just been such an honor to be
An,
able to do it.
an icon. Could you just take a moment, Charlotte, and sort of give us a little rundown, a day to day in Charlotte's life, sort of when she goes to work? I know you're at home now. We have the pleasure of coming into your home, but maybe when Charlotte now puts on her coat, getting a little cold in New York before Thanksgiving,
Right.
goes to work and starts to work with their staff. I mean, obviously you have a large operation. You probably have many things going on that you're looking at. I'm thinking it almost like an aircraft hangar, where you're going MGM, and Edith Head is doing Gone with the Wind, and this and
Love
this
to be
show.
in an aircraft
Yeah.
carrier.
Or aircraft hangar. But
Right. Or hanger, right.
either one.
Um,
But
you know,
what happens when you go to work? How many things are going on, and how do you
it
keep track
really
of?
depends on the time of year. Now we're approaching Thanksgiving as you're recording this show. So a lot of the, although we have someone's 40th birthday parties, big milestone celebration tomorrow here in New York, but we're preparing for Thanksgiving treats that individuals want to display. Giant logs that look like a log, but you can actually slice into it and eat it. That they'll display on their Thanksgiving dessert or buffet table. And but there are times of year where it's really more focused on weddings. September, October is probably the hugest time of year. Certainly May, June is also has always been a very important part of the wedding season. And at that time, right now we're just segueing into a time that is critical for a cake designer, because this is the time that we make the flowers for the following year. So this is where I use a lot of my fashion forecasting and trend
And,
sensory uh, uh,
and analysis.
analysis.
Yeah.
Exactly. And, there'll be one year where I say, it's all going to be about anemones. Well, this year it was nothing to do about anemones, and it was all, everything to do about other flowers. And the colors are really critical, because if I'm wrong about the colors, then I've basically wasted hours and hours of an artist's life, and of course the wages that I paid them. And so it's really just as important to me as it was in the past, to select the perfect color, the perfect fabric, the perfect fabric in the perfect color. It's the same thing. But now the difference is we're selecting fondant colors and sugar colors, and we're doing it way ahead of the actual cakes. So this is the time of year that I always refer to us as like little chipmunks or squirrels that are foraging, getting ready for the winter, only we're making flowers generally. And of course, we have some very big orders at Christmas time, especially corporate orders for Christmas parties. But you know, and people have milestone birthdays in December, so that we get to celebrate them with our clients, and that's always really a lot of fun. And we have Hanukkah. You know, there are a lot of celebrations that we partake in, and but behind the scenes, we have to to be making those flowers and get ready for the season ahead. Otherwise, we wouldn't have the time to do it.
Right. And I was just thinking
You go through hundreds of flowers a year.
ooh, you are really the Charlotte Neuville, the haute couture is of cake and confections, because really it's one of a kind. And thinking about obviously the haute couture, Dior, Chanel, Valentino, Ungaro, and so forth. I mean, it's the epitome of what you do. And as I said, and you were talking about having the right flowers and whatever it would be like ordering the right fabric from Lake Como,
Yeah,
which could be $500, $1,000 a yard. And if it's not right, wow, you've just lost it, all that yardage.
So much of my inspiration is derived from just looking at couture shows when, and pret-a-porter. And, that's, to me, I mean, I said this when I was in the fashion business, and I continue to say it to this day. I'm basically a sponge 24/7. It's just whatever is at the theater this week, I'll be back in the theater next week. It could be the theater, it could be a new color I see, it could be, as a designer, one never really knows where all the inspiration comes from, because you are basically turned on all the time.
That's so, Charlotte, the future. We've looked at the past, the present. Where is Charlotte Neuville going in the future? What's the next step? I mean, you've pretty much done everything. You're continuing to doing. Obviously, you're excited by everything. It doesn't get tiring. But just like you got into this from fashion, are there any other things that you want to do, or is there going to be a next step in confection and cakes? Where is the next milestone for Charlotte Neuville?
Well, other than looking forward to the Met Gala next year, and
what's the theme again? The new theme for the Met.
I don't think I can. I just read it, and I haven't spoken to Anna about it yet. But I don't think I could even paraphrase it. I think it's going to be quite challenging in cake, but I just have to spend some time thinking about it.
Well, when it comes out,
we'll come up with something.
We're gonna come and
I mean,
see you.
honestly, I'm very interested in, I still own the name, The Fashion Chef, and which I started 12 years ago. And I'd like to launch more of a mass market product, because I feel that there are many, many people that would like our cakes, but can't necessarily afford them, or more importantly, don't live in an area where we can deliver them. Cakes today, unfortunately, do not arrive at their destination.
After hearing your incredible story and inspiration.
One of my favorite, both when I was in the fashion business and in this business of cake design, people write articles about me as an overnight success. And don't be so sure that that is accurate when you're reading these articles for any designer. Not only are we not overnight successes, we've spent years and years of building our repertoire of design. But what's most important is accept that it's going to be scary. The water is cold. One of my favorite adages is jump off the cliff and invent the water as you're going down, because the ride is a lot smoother if you can invent the water. And it's, it was scary. And there are days that it's still scary. And that is part of what fuels me, because if I have an idea, or if one of my clients,
Fast enough. So as you sit back and listen to or look at this great interview with Charlotte, sit back, get something sweet, something that you like, share it with your loved one, and think about obviously how lucky we are, and for the holiday season to be blessed and so forth. And we are blessed to have you on the show today.
thank you
What
so
an
much,
incredible
Andrew.
life, what an incredible story. And we can't wait to see the next sweet chapter of Charlotte.